it.
Hello out there, and thanks for joining us on Political Platform. It's a Monday, and we have all the reports for you, the analysis of the events that happened at the weekend, and some of them traditional, some of them core politics, as in election in ANAMBRA state, and the traditional one is the Are Ona Kakanfo of Yoruba land was installed in the southwest. And if you understand the strength of that office, is the Generalissimo, the one who is the commander-in-chief, and the one who is the one who would lead the Yoruba to war in the event. Those days there were empires, conquering empires, and you need a strong man to be in the front. And Otumba Gani Adams got that title 30 years after the holder of that title died, MKO Abiola. It's a significant one for the Yorubas, particularly at this time when there is a lot of inward review of the events, the political events, which way forward Nigeria, and a lot of ethnic and tribal and regional politics going on. So if we can't talk about that today, we'll devote more time to it subsequently to tell you the deeper implications of what happened in the southwest. The elections in Anambra State came under the Anambra Central, which has been there for a long time. Since the beginning of this Muhammadu Buhari administration, there has not been a senator from that district. Victor Ume emerged of the APGA, emerged the winner of that contest. We'll also be telling you about all the other sundry developments at the weekend. The meeting, they said it was informal, and it was not like 7 governors meeting the president in the villa and coming out. They came out to pronounce that they are not oblivious. They are not unaware of the developments around, and they wouldn't mind if the president would say he wants to take a shot, and that they have no apologies to anybody if they take their stand in favor of the president. El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State, was the one that spoke to the press on behalf of his colleagues. Amechi Anakwe is on the platform with me this morning. Amechi, welcome.
Thank you so much, Ohira. The PDP is saying that the governors, if you take a look at most of them, that the ones under pressure, the ones that may likely, according to them, not win re-election, so they want to bank on the popularity of the president to get, of course, be voted back into office. But they have said, yes, the president's image is looming large as ever, especially in northern Nigeria, that if, of course, he contests again, then some politicians will rip off positively from it. But commendations for the governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong. On Friday on this program, I described his utterances as childish, comparing him to what my 8- and 6-year-old boys will say.
But he apologized at the weekend.
But he took the extraordinary step, something that is rare in Nigeria, among Nigerian politicians. Nobody is perfect. Sometimes we'll cross the lines without knowing it. He understood that he crossed the line, and he quickly retraced his steps. We urge other politicians, other leaders to take a cue from him and, of course, continue on our march towards the development and peaceful Nigeria.
Well, we also have on the program today Bolaji Abdullahi. Bolaji Abdullahi, you may recall, he was minister in the Jonathan administration under the auspices of the PDP, but he has long ago crossed the line. He's in the APC, not just in APC now. He's the spokesperson for the APC. He following the Independent National Electoral Commission release of the timetable and definite dates for elections, we have to be shortly now around the political parties to find out if they are ready, how they are ready, and what are the issues on the ground. So he's on our program today. Will be telling us what the APC is seeing against the backdrop of the internal politics that is going in APC, why they have not been able to hold any of this, the national convention of the party, and what becomes of those who want to be president from inside the APC, who will now be afraid when 7 governors say they will support the incumbent president, when a director general has been appointed by the president to lead the campaign. What hopes have others inside the APC to say they want to be president? Is there going to be a problem? He will be answering us, giving us answers to those questions. But let's go to our mailbox, politicalplatform@yahoo.com. Let's see who is talking to us this morning and sharing the views, telling us what the issues are that concerns them, that they have opinion on. Please stay with us.
The mail segment, I am Usaitin Yari.
And I am Chidinma Enyi. You're welcome.
Collins Eze in Kubwa, Abuja, writes on the new DG of NIA and federal character. The mail reads, with the appointment of Ahmed Rufai Abubakar as the DG NIA, it is now obvious that 90, if not 100% of the heads of various security agencies in Nigeria are Northerners. How can that be? What happened to the federal character? Much as all these appointees are ably qualified, spreading the appointments across board would have made it more acceptable by all and sundry. How can one region take almost all these decisions bordering on the security of this country? Should we now assume that this is a practical application of the 95 and 5% ideology? I want to advise President Buhari to consider other regions in his appointments, as he was voted to govern the entire country. Let every region have a sense of belonging, as where there is equity, there will definitely be peace. God help Nigeria.
And Ike from Lekki in Lagos State writes on development following the Benue crisis. He says, the revelation by Governor Othom of Benue State that he wrote to the Vice President, who was then holding brief for President Buhari, and also to President Buhari upon his return from medical vacation, the NSA, DSS, and the IG, informing them of the planned attack by the headsmen months before the attack, is a clear indication of abysmal failure on the part of the government in the protection of life and property of the citizenry. It is a pointer to the fact that some people, not only do they walk the streets free after committing such serious crimes, but are actually aided and protected by the same government that swore to be there for everyone. What a double standard. May God help us.
Sonny Akai in Bayelsa State is writing on the establishment of colonies in Nigeria. The mail reads, I was dazed last Friday when I listened to the crew members, especially Amechi, speak glowingly about this plan of establishing a colony in each state of the Federation for Fulani herdsmen and their cattle. As far as I know, cattle rearing is a private business, as much as fish farming done by many Nigerians. The latter build their ponds and don't depend on government to build a colony for them. I don't have any problem if the federal government can help them establish their ranches in their respective states, because in my state we don't rear cattle, but we domesticate our animals in our backyards. The herdsmen are ordinary workers. The owners of these cattle are rich and can afford to build a ranch with or without government assistance, but it should be built in their respective states. Long live Nigeria.
And Akinyele Balogun from Adodo in Ogun State titles this one as Legislative Tenure. He says, I wish to point your attention to one observed error in the Nigerian Constitution on the tenure of our legislators. For instance, if a governor or the president is removed by the court and another one is instated, the tenure starts to count from the date of swearing in. But when it comes to legislators, even if it is just one day that remains for the entire legislative tenure, the new legislator is swept out with those who enjoyed full 4 years. Something should be done about this, so that the community that voted for such a legislator can enjoy the full 4-year tenure, whether the legislative tenure of others ends or not.
Away from that, Ifeanyi Cosmos in Nasarawa State says, I want the authorities to know that fuel scarcity is back and biting. They should stop insulting us by saying that we are engaging in panic buying. I don't know how someone who wants to buy 10 liters of fuel to run his or her generator can be equated to panic buying. If there is panic buying, can we have panic selling, please? Thank you. That's it on the mail segment for today. Keep writing to us through politicalplatform@yahoo.com.
Panic buying, panic selling. I get the message. I think it is that if there's enough supply, there will be no need for panic buying.
After all, you can't store
exactly, you can't store it.
Dangerous to
then there's the other panic now that I have. I don't know if you saw the statement at the weekend. The National Association of Pig Farmers, the piggery farmers, issued a statement that they need colonies for the pigs, and that the colonies for the pig is necessary because of the attitude, or the how do I say it now, the Islamic religion or the Muslims have an attitude towards pork meat, so they cannot rear pig in the north, and the north, according to them, is very good for the rearing of the pig. So they want to have land in the pig, the land colonies in the north and everywhere in Nigeria to rear pig. When you have panic like this everywhere, you know that we really need to take a look at it. But where do we begin from? Let's say, I don't know if the interview for the interview with the minister, if we are ready to take on about why
the spokesperson of
the former minister, the spokesman for the minister. But let's for spokesman for the APC. But let's just quickly take a look at Anambra before we take Bolaji Abdullahi. The Anambra elections. Somebody just wrote in to say, unfortunately, no matter how many days are remaining, Victor Ume cannot spend more than the number of days remaining. The constitution has not been changed, and I don't think there's anything anybody can do about that.
Well, it's not about individuals. It's about a constituency. That's why if you ask the person to spend the next 4 years, definitely may, of course, prevent the other persons from, of course, coming up to take.
But the beautiful thing about it, Amechi, is that if he contests the next time and they still want it, he can continue.
But there's another another scheme that helps to limit this damage. A legislator can contest 100 times
for as long as the constituency
is limitless.
Yes.
So, but for an executive officer, the governor, deputy governor, president, vice president,
it's just
you have
limited.
2 tenure of 8 years. So the constitution has a way of trying to balance it. But the message the writer is sending is that we spend too much time on litigation. Even when a high court, for instance, says this is the man, give him the certificate of return. There's this practice in the National Assembly where they will say, let's wait till the Supreme Court decides on it. And by the time the case travels from the High Court to the
4 years is gone.
May have ended. So we have to take a look at that, both by way of policy, house rules, and the way the leadership of the both chambers of the National Assembly interpret them, because it's very critical. The interpretation is critical. The law empowers them to interpret it the way they like, and it stands.
All right. I know the challenge they have, because if you see the way the court orders fly, today they say you are the one elected. Then another court will say, no, you are not the one. Assuming that they were sworn in at intervals, it means that you swear in Amechi, who won who first of all was declared winner. When they now say Agbosuremi is the one that won, Amechi will leave, will swear me.
Yes, because the constituency will not lack representation, and courts are beginning now to mandate those that were there illegally to pay back all salaries and
those are some of the balances.
If the court says you are the one, allow that man to be there, because if you don't allow him, the constituency will miss out in lack representation, especially when critical issues are concerned. So the National Assembly, for me, they must begin to bring the person in that the High Court, Appeal Court, or Supreme Court decides.
All right, and I think the answer is speedy judicial process. If we can do it speedily, if we set a timeline that within 6 months after elections, all cases should be dispensed with, then we'll be able to about how do they deal with pre-election matters that will go to the Supreme Court. Those are some of the issues. Now let's take a look at the preparations for the elections. We have the Independent National Electoral Commission, Nigeria's commission that deals with the elections, really now the timetable and the specific dates for elections, which means 2018 is going to be very, very tough with preparations. The Independent National Electoral Commission has done its part and is doing its part in spite of the challenges we know they also go to have, because some of the provisions of the Electoral Act are still under amendments. The Constitution is still under amendments. Some of the provisions will impact on the election itself and the conduct. But the parties, we took the spokesperson for the PDP last week, talking about Kola Ologbondiyan, and today we decided to take in the spokesperson for the APC, Bolaji Abdullahi. Thank you very much for joining us on our program. The Independent National Electoral Commission has released its definite and final schedule of timetable for the elections, and Nigerians are already also getting ready. Is the APC ready?
Yes, we are ready. Have looked at the timetable and we're happy with it, at least for now. But I believe that if we have opportunity to take a closer look at it and we have any observation, certainly we'll pass those across to the INEC.
Can you do that at this time? Because INEC is supposed to be an independent body. Can the party tell INEC we do not like this or we don't like this?
No, if we have observations, I think we can pass it across. I mean, they will look at it in the context of other observations coming from other political parties.
Yeah.
And if they think it's something that they can work with, they will do it. But like I agree with you, they are the final arbiter in this situation. But that does not preclude that we don't have
stakeholders from making suggestions.
Stakeholders can make suggestions on what they think is.
Now we also have a lot of with the schedule out now. 2018 is likely to be a very busy year for political parties and the APC to that, and we have a lot of things to do within the party to get on. We talk of primaries. How is the APC getting ready for this against the backdrop that most of the crises that happen within the party actually happen during this politicking that is opening up now?
Well, we are hoping to avert any situation that will lead to crisis, but we have to follow the constitution of our party and the prescription of our constitution for those activities, like the congresses that need to happen at the state level, the national convention that must happen at the national level. So these are responsibilities that we have. They are constitutional requirements. We have to fulfill them. Of course, you cannot have a rancor-free. It's unlikely that you have a rancor-free convention. We will be happy if that happens, But I think at the party level, we are also working on situations that can help us to mitigate the effect of this, so it doesn't create its own challenges to us as we head towards the election.
You have not been able to hold a national convention because of some of the challenges that you've had. Have you overcome those challenges?
Yes, I think largely we have. One of the major challenges, like we said, was that if you recall last year, we had issues with the president's health, and he was out of the country for a while. And unfortunately for us as a party, we also noticed that even some party members were treating that period as if it was a transition period. We as the executive of the party did not want to give platform to people who have other agenda apart from the interest of the party and the government. So,
what do you mean by they were treating as a transition?
There was a time that people were already thinking, the president will not come back and all that. So some people were actually behaving as though the tenure has ended, as though that was it. So we didn't want to provide a platform for people who want to express such sentiment or such and that was one of the reasons that we didn't also want to appear like we are carrying on as if we've written off the possibility of the president coming back to lead us at the convention. So these are calculations that we had. Sometimes you have to make choices.
But the president has been back since, so why has the convention not held?
We've had what I will expect that we'll also remember is that before the president left, we didn't have our national caucus meeting.
Yeah.
We didn't have our NEC meeting.
You have never had any meeting?
But we did. We had one NEC meeting shortly after the election. But what I'm saying is that after the president's return, we have had the national caucus meeting.
Okay.
We've had the NEC meeting. And that was that was in November. So it was a point we're now beginning to say that, look, we have to push other programs to the following year, which is the current year, and we believe that we have no choice now within the first part of this year. We must fulfill those constitutional requirements in terms of convention and congresses where they are standing. Because even last year, while we were waiting for this, state congresses were held, in different parts of the country. World congresses were held, to fill vacancies created by death or the campaign, as the case may be. So
people who are executive.
So it wasn't as if we didn't do anything throughout the year. But of course, we know that the convention is outstanding, and we must deal with that as quickly as possible.
Now, I want to ask you this, and you permit me to ask you, because of the anxiety is likely to create. I will give a background to it. When a sitting president has the privilege of contesting a second term, there's always in Nigeria, we saw what happened in the Jonathan era in PDP. A lot of people say contest, don't contest, and a lot of things. I would have thought that this would probably not arise, maybe because of the recent experience of the health of the president and the general complaint all over Nigeria that this government has not really fulfilled most of its promises. But the governors, about 11 of them from the APC, 7 of them from the APC have said, we do not have any challenge, we don't have any problem. If the president wants to contest, he can contest. Is this a problem inside APC?
No, not at all. It's not a problem at all. I think the 7 governors that said that they are within their rights to say so.
Yeah.
I mean, but like I said, a party is a father to everyone. And every member of the party is entitled to say, look, I want to be president. So once we take that kind of position, we will be prejudicing the rights of those individuals to
exercise their rights.
And that we will have lost a credibility, to be an impartial arbiter within the party that's able to offer justice and fair play. And that is why at this time we cannot come out. But with the preponderance of the party, and we got to the point where we have to take a decision, and the preponderance of sentiments is that, look, let the president carry on if he so desires.
Yes.
Of course, we are going to take that position.
Will anybody be able to stop the president, even within the party, even if he says, I want to contest? That's actually where the cross of the matter is.
I think
with the primary, would there be primary? Will it be democratic? Will those who are interested in becoming president under APC be willing? Would it be subject to democratic processes?
We have done it before, and I believe we will do it. The constitution of our party is very clear on how our candidates should emerge, right? And we will follow that procedure. I think the reason we have this anxiety, like you rightly pointed out, is that the experience we had under PDP. Once you have a sitting president, people are so mortally afraid, people don't want to come out to challenge you, and they believing that it's a fait accompli will have his way. It might be so in this case as well, but what we are promising as a party, we promise to be different. That's why we are here. We promise to play by the rules. That's why we are here. So to the best of our ability, we'll continue to push on these fundamental principles. That democracy or democratic standards is what we want to be held accountable for. We also know that in the past, when the PDP has tried to railroad a particular candidate, whether a sitting president or any other candidate, it has created more problems for them, crisis for them. So we
want to learn from that.
We should learn from that. We should learn from that and try to avoid it. I believe that the president has done very well in the context of the challenges that he has faced, and there is no reason if he wants to contest for us not to support him. But again, we must play within certain within established democratic norms.
Now, I will ask you this last one, sir. From what you have seen, you cannot abridge the rights of Mr. President to contest the election. Is the party satisfied? You're going by the kind of complaints all over Nigeria, the promises that the APC government has not been able to deliver, which the party has acknowledged are crisis that started long ago. It's not one day that they will complete it. The kind of discontent in Nigeria, is the party satisfied that they can actually face this election with President Muhammadu Buhari?
Look, let me say that every government, everywhere, is an object of discontent. But there is no government that can make everyone happy. If you take President Muhammadu Buhari out today, or you take the APC out today and bring another government, there will be discontent, there will be complaints, because as far as I know, I've been hearing that 70% of Nigerians live below poverty line, and so successive governments have continued to deal with this issue of poverty or lifting people out of poverty. So there will always be discontent.
Well, I think the difference is that APC promised that they will remove this poverty.
APC promised that we will create prosperity.
Yeah, which it has not created.
I don't think it's possible for us to come to the conclusion that it has not created.
Okay.
It's an ongoing responsibility. If the government has 4 years, we have not done 4 years already.
Well, Bolaji Abdullahi there speaking with us. We need to continue to give vent to the different views, provide this platform for politicians and the political parties to let Nigerians know what is happening, and also provide opportunity for Nigerians, the electorate, the stakeholders, the NGOs, everybody, because that is exactly what our business is, to galvanize the people. And we will soon start a campaign on here. We did it the last time. The campaign is for you to hold a PVC, the permanent voter card, and be ready to vote. If you don't have one, what you should do, we'll tell you. We'll get the Independent National Electoral Commission to come here and tell you what you should do. Anybody who declines, neglects, and refuses to vote in the coming elections we will pronounce him enemy of Nigeria by our own calculation, that you are not ready to be part of the game. Although it is not compulsory for you to vote, you can sit down at home, but we believe that the more the participation, the better. We give room to manipulation if only a few people come to vote. If all of us go out to vote there and we have our PVC, it will be difficult for them to rig, to manipulate anybody. Even the so-called miscreants they use will be voting themselves if all of us participate in it.
Here is a civic responsibility. It's only in Norway and Australia that is a crime not to vote during election day. They wanted every citizenry to be part of their governance process, and by law, if you refuse to vote, then
you are prosecuted.
Yeah, there will be some punishment. But
unfortunately, we are not there yet.
What of the countries of the world have made it a civic responsibility? But some people have said, even if I vote, will my vote count?
Exactly.
That this will happen.
The result is already known.
Don't lay back. The more you stay at home, the more you're giving them the impetus to do whatever they have planned. I can tell you, it's easier for politicians to rig elections when the turnout is very low. But when people troop out, it makes it extremely difficult for them to rig. So even if you know the outcome, you think you know the outcome is being manipulated, this or that, still be part of it, if for no other thing, but of course for fun. You can proudly tell your children and recount history that you did this during that election year and you did that. It helps the process. But the development in the APC is very interesting. The president pressures on him to run by some governors within the party. If you see, recently there have been a media campaign.
I don't really like this kind of pressure on him to run. When you say pressure on him to run, it's like the man who is in the saddle does not have a mind of his own. And this is it not self-imposed pressure? I mean, if the president has made up his mind that he wants to run, or he does not want to run, why will he want to have?
That's the Nigerian thing.
Yeah, because
that's the Nigerian thing. Very soon delegations will start. We have not started seeing delegations from every part of the country. I know the import of this.
Even posters that he didn't print,
if you move in, you don't move out same. There's always a difference. Of course, you understand the language I'm trying to paint, but it's always been like that. But you remember that this president had tried to contest. Nobody prompted him. He decided since 2003 up to 2011, he opted out. And it was only when he opted out that people co-opted him and persuaded him to run. Let's see how it is
going to work out. We will be giving you more of the information as we proceed towards the elections and all that will happen. Particularly, we'll also be taking a look at those laws that require amendment that are being done by the National Assembly, and then we will have to begin to interpret what will happen if the Independent National Electoral Commission will change the goalposts somewhere along the line, and how it can impact on the general elections when they come. Okiri Agbonsoremi here. Let's do it tomorrow, and tomorrow when we come back, and remember to join us on our YouTube channel and on AIT Abuja by 6 p.m. And remember to drop us a note, politicalplatform@yahoo.com.